Yo, what up, YouTube? And Lucid Crew, we're back.
What the?
I think of like the orphan trains, back in the day with the 1900s. With the orphan trains, they were doing a lot of what looked like cloning with children. And if you look back at the 1901 incubators,
Coney Island, I remember this now.
Island,
Yep.
They had this stuff on where they had the incubators and they were showing all these children. And they said they were all premature, which was interesting. Every single child was premature, but they had just thousands and thousands of these children. So, you sit there and wonder, well, where were all these babies being born from? Where were they coming from? And then you kind of sit there and think back, well, 1901, they could have been cloning. And then now they're saying, we can maybe finally do it. But this technology's been around for a very long time.
I never even thought about that. And we had covered, it was one of those nights that I did a strange did you know section. And we were talking about all the incubator babies from Coney Island. They were pretty much on display. Like they were put in street level windows. It was almost like going to a puppy mill. It was incredible. And never once did cloning ever cross my mind until right now.
That is super weird. It would make sense too that they were all premature too, because premature babies, they just don't grow, they don't develop the way that they are supposed to. So being that, if it was very early stages of cloning attempts, it would make sense that the children weren't developing properly and like the clones weren't working properly and really growing the way they should. So what do you think they clone people for? I could see them like cloning like, politicians and even some celebrities that have like a really strong grip on society and are able to control them. Taylor Swift. Here, where they're just like cloning thousands of people to potentially make like soldiers, or like, what do you think it was? Because I don't have the slightest idea why they would need thousands of clones back in 1901, but maybe you do.
There's what they call Omicron configuration, where the craft is using one generator, or Delta configuration, where it's utilizing all three. Delta configuration would be for space travel. Essentially, the craft will tilt up on its side, focus the three gravity generators to a single point, and move through space that way. And as opposed to what we're used to, for instance, a plane, once it's in the air, we envision thrust or some force coming out the back of it to push it forward. The crafts work completely opposite of that. Is once they're hovering in the air, they'll swing the two remaining gravity generators up in front of them and create a distortion, essentially a downhill, and the craft rolls downhill for infinity. It's why they look goofy when they fly around at low speed. The gravity field around the Earth is not completely constant and stable, depending on the minerals and density of the Earth underneath it. So its low speed mode is kind of unstable for the most part.
How do you feel about Bob Lazar? I believe everything he says, for the most part. It doesn't seem like he's lying about anything. It doesn't seem like he would have any reason to lie. It kind of ruined his life for a while, initially, right? I don't think that he could have foreseen that, he could maybe have some sort of like redemption in the public eye, like years later, like he does now with like, Joe Rogan podcast and Netflix documentary and whatnot. But in the day, that he released everything back in the day, he was just like a whistleblower. It was like fearing for his life for the most part, at least to my knowledge. So I believe what he says, because he hasn't given me a reason not to. But I think a lot of the stuff he saw was, he could have seen alien spacecraft, but he could have also seen, U.S. spacecraft that they were having issues getting to work, that they brought him in to try to figure out, how to make it work. Like they had ideas that weren't finished, maybe. Had to keep it secret. So I don't know. Interesting. Bob Lazar stuff is super interesting, but he's definitely one of the top just whistleblowers that I believe out of all of them that I've probably come across here.
You are being lied to. And if you feel that something very intense and history-changing is about to happen, don't ignore it. Just ask yourself, just on the merits of the facts. You've got two people running for president. One of them is literally senile. I'm not attacking the guy, but that's true. Maybe not fully aware that he's president. Opposing him is a man who has been indicted 4 times and is facing life in prison. And every time he gets indicted and every time they tack years on to the sentence, he becomes more popular, and now he's winning. But it tells you a couple of things. One, the side that's indicting him doesn't want him to be president so badly that they are willing to indict him on what are transparently ridiculous charges. And 2, the public is not only not buying it, it is incentivizing them to support him. Indict him again. Arrest him again. march him out to the gallows, he'll become king. So it's literally counterproductive. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the people currently in charge have no idea how the country works, what the country wants, and they don't care. So how does that resolve itself? The big lie that we tell ourselves, and that I have told many times, is that this is political. This is not political. What we're watching is not political. This is not politics. And everyone deserves to live in a country governed by politics, not force. You say you hate politics. What's the option? Force. You only get two options. And we're past the political stage. Nothing that is happening now can be explained through conventional political terms. Period. What's happening is bad behavior for its own sake. There is no upside to the great trends of our age. There's no upside to pushing transgenderism on kids, period. None. There's no upside. So why are they doing that? Is it really a conspiracy from gender clinics? I mean, maybe to some extent, but it's bigger than that. What you're seeing is evil done for its own sake. Hurting people done for the sake of hurting people. That's exactly what you're seeing.
Damn. Go off, King. Yeah, it's a clown show over here, man. I know a lot of my viewers, subscribers, supporters, fans, whatever you guys want to call yourselves, are not from the U.S., and it probably looks like it's a trash fire looking from the outside in. And I can 100% assure you that right now it is most definitely a trash fire, a dumpster fire over here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got. It's a dumpster fire over here. But, you know, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed things get better.
Yes, it's true that we have been in contact with your government and heads of power. It is also true that we have been It is also true that agreements have been made and kept secret from your people. It is also true that in the past, some of your people have lost their lives or have been badly hurt to protect the secret. Our hands had no part in this. We contacted your leaders because your planet is in grave trouble. Your leaders said the vast majority of your population wasn't ready for anything like us yet. So we made time agreements with your leaders as to when your people would be made aware of our presence.
The biggest takeaway for folks to understand is that things are happening on it's not a disclosure, it's a scheduled dissemination. And so certain things have to be set up before other things can be revealed.
Now, does the military know how to do this and all? Yes, they have known for a long time. Do the civilians know how? No. It's a time-released schedule. Is it now? Can I release it? Yes.
What was that device at the front called?
Because going back to disclosure is a process, and all the work that you've done since 2017, you and your team, am I wrong to have sensed a little bit of urgency in this as well?
There is a sense of urgency because, people said, well, why now? Well, because it's not on our time scale, not on our timeline. It's not up to us. They're here, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. They're here. The question is why? What's the purpose? We need to start asking ourselves some pretty direct questions about this topic. There is a sense of urgency because every day that we fail to acknowledge and recognize what's really going on, we stay in the veil of darkness. This is real. This is here. This is now. Our country has already acknowledged. I hate to say this, but disclosure's already happened. We now have the acknowledgement from former and current directors of national intelligence and CIA and presidents and everybody says, yeah, it's real. It's here.
That's
right.
A scary thing.
Well, I think the dialogue we're having now in this country, even with the recent legislation that passed through the legislature and is on its way up to the president's desk, even with that, we're kind of preparing the U.S. population at least, and by extension, the world population into that reality that there is a presence here, and that we need to explain this presence. Because if they show up and we continue to do what we did before in previous decades, and they show up, there will be mass panic. But if you understand that these are real, and we have 5 years from 2022, or maybe now 4 years, if they come in 2027, for the U.S. government to prepare the people about what is up there. And in many ways, I think the word got out within the government that they're showing up. in 2027, and we better be prepared. And if not, there's going to be a lot of explaining to do.
If our guys are going to, our representatives are going to actually start using the phrase non-human intelligence, they're not doing that, as you point out, because it's a lark. They're doing it because they've heard something that makes them believe right now that there is non-human intelligence. The second part of this that disturbs me, though, is there seems to be a rush to now try to talk about it. So after years and years and years, decades and decades and decades, where this has all been kind of pushed aside and nobody dared speak the word alien or extraterrestrial, let alone non-human intelligence, now they're all starting to do it. And they're doing it fast. And they're talking about hearings that we'll be talking about in a moment that are coming up fast. And they're going to have some shocking things in them. And the only thing I can think of is there's got to be a reason why the powers that be in Washington, D.C. are starting to say we need to actually say the words out loud, and we need to get language in right now to get this taken care of. And I'm concerned, Ross, that at the end of the day, the only thing that would make a politician do that and act in that sort of enhanced way where they're in a hurry is that there's some bad news involved in this. And I don't know exactly what it is. And I know that you don't know exactly what it is. People are talking. It's hard to sort out what the sources mean or don't mean. But, you know, as I said, Chuck Schumer was and has been a cautious man in many cases. And I don't think he'd be talking like this and pushing this if he didn't think there was a fire behind his back pushing him to do so.
Look, I've got a pretty clear idea of what the government knows, and I can understand why they're moving to expedite. Yes, there is a constraint of time. The government knows that it really does have to tell the truth to the public after years of treating this subject with derision and ridicule.
But responsible decisions need to be made here. They need to be made. And that's why I believe this C3, this UFO C3 organization that we're talking about putting together, you know, we're talking about it right now, the Institute for Preparing Our Human Family for Contact. You know, that's what this is. This is an actual preparation of our human family for contact with an extraterrestrial civilization.
Okay, so that's all fine and dandy, but how would you even prepare your family for an alien invasion? If we don't know what they have, what they're capable of, what they want, how do you prepare for that? I mean, we can prepare for tornadoes and hurricanes because we know the damage they can cause. We know, you know, previous damage that they've inflicted on areas. We know, you know, potential damage that they're capable of inflicting, but like aliens, we don't know that. So like me having like a 72-hour bag, you know, with like rations and things like that I would need during, you know, in the case of a hurricane, you know, getting bad enough for me to need to evacuate. Aliens, like, we don't know that. We don't, I wouldn't know the first way of preparing for that other than like, you know, getting extra ammo, you know? So, I mean, all this disclosure and stuff is fine, you know, telling us like they exist, they have this kind of craft and stuff, but it's not helpful if they don't disclose like intimate knowledge about these potential, you know, aliens and extraterrestrials, because just saying like aliens are here, they traveled from here, they can fly this fast, like cool, sweet, that's good information to have, I guess, but like what are their motives? Like what did they say? You know, what are they wearing armor? Like can they read our minds? Like these are things that need to be disclosed if they're doing it for a reason to like prepare us. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. I think aliens are real. I don't. Maybe they're trying to push this stuff to, you know, get Project Bluebeam ahead of an actual alien invasion, or maybe it's an actual alien invasion. You know, I mean, I'm not going to downplay the legitimacy of Project Bluebeam, but maybe the aliens got ahead of it. You know, maybe extraterrestrials got ahead of it, and they don't have time to do that now. Because like they're like, oh, well, we were gonna fake it, but it's real. I don't know. Let me know what you think about this, all this alien stuff, man. It's super interesting to me. Definitely my favorite stuff to talk about are aliens by far.
Check the radar map. He's 1,200 feet off the ground. doing a grid over the Cape. Didn't know anything about it until I went online and looked and somebody else posted about it. Apparently they're doing some kind of surveying at 1 a.m. Woke me up from a fucking dead sleep. You see that green laser coming off the bottom?
I don't know. Someone would have to explain that one to me. I know that they use like sonar and lasers to like test distances and whatnot, but at the same time, the plane already knows how high it is, how far it is off the ground. So what would be the point of the laser? I mean, probably definitely scanning the area for something, but in what case would that be necessary to like scan like neighborhoods with the laser? You would think all the information they would have for like those, populated neighborhoods, they would already have all that information. So,
Did Nikola Tesla really know the secret behind the pyramids? According to Tesla, the pyramids were more than just ancient tombs or architectural marvels. He believed that they held a hidden power, a mysterious energy source waiting to be unlocked. Tesla speculated that the pyramids were designed to harness and transmit wireless energy, tapping into the Earth's natural electromagnetic field. In his view, these majestic structures acted as gigantic power plants, capable of transmitting energy across vast distances. Imagine a world where electricity flowed freely, wirelessly, without the need for cumbersome cables or grids. Tesla envisioned a future where the pyramid's technology could be harnessed, revolutionizing the way we power our world. While Tesla's theory remains speculative, it challenges us to think beyond conventional wisdom. It sparks curiosity and invites us to explore the mysteries of the past. So the next time you gaze upon the pyramids, let yourself wonder, could there be more to these ancient wonders than meets the eye?
Tesla definitely knew some stuff. He had a ton of funding. He had a bunch of people backing him, banks, investors. Pretty sure he was working with Edison, on some things for a short time. I'm pretty sure he was his pupil initially. And then just out of nowhere, they just cut his funding because his advancements in science and tech would have been detrimental to the profits of his investors, which were, power companies and places like that. So I think it's very possible that he definitely kind of cracked the code. I don't know if he so much solved it to where he was able to like replicate, the free energy like completely. I know he did like small experiments and stuff, but he was on the right track, right? At the very least, and that's why they cut his funding and kind of just like halted his research. But he definitely knew some stuff that people didn't want him to know and people didn't want him to share. Things that probably would have been both for the betterment and the detriment of society, because a lot of it was probably super dangerous and probably could have caused a lot of chaos and havoc. Probably a bunch of explosions too. But on the other hand, a lot of stuff that could be super beneficial to us and save us a lot of money on our power bills.
They keep coming up with multiple theories about how the Great Pyramid was built, and none of them make any sense to me. I've been lucky enough to climb the Great Pyramid 5 times. I've explored every internal passageway. This thing is just a gigantic mystery in stone. It challenges us to think again about everything in the ancient world. The fact that it incorporates the dimensions of our planet in its key dimensions, that you can take the height of the Great Pyramid and multiply by 43,200 and you get the polar radius of the Earth. You can measure the base perimeter of the Great Pyramid, multiply it by the same number, you get the equatorial circumference of the Earth. I won't bore you, but that number is not a random number. Anybody who goes into my books will find that it relates to the obscure astronomical phenomenon called precession of the equinoxes. I think they're trying to tell us something, that the pyramid speaks to our planet. It speaks to this Earth. It's aligned to true north. And again, I try and mention this to archaeologists. They say, it's just a coincidence. It's just rubbish.
Mainstream archaeology hates additional research. Anything that strays from the path of what has already been discovered is crazy to me. I mean, it's a slap in the face. I used to want to be an archaeologist when I was little. Like, obviously, I want to be an astronaut like a lot of kids did. I love space and whatnot, but I also wanted to be an archaeologist for a long time. I never took that path. Thankfully, because I'd probably be blacklisted right now trying to, go against the grain nowadays. But it's upsetting for me that these people, their job is to make discoveries and really, get to the bottom of, what happened in our history and in our past, and so we can better understand it and to create a better future. And they're just like stuck. They're just like pigeonholed. They're like on rails. They're not allowed to stray away from this path anymore, whether it be because it'll release secrets that will, be detrimental to profits of companies like power companies and whatnot, who we're talking about with Nikola Tesla, or just to, go against people's fame, right? Like, there are archaeologists alive still that are very famous, like the dude in Egypt, I forget his name, but he likes to kick people out when they start making discoveries or claims that go against his discoveries. So he's got everybody on his payroll. So, maybe it's just because it'll basically hurt the legend, right? It'll it'll hurt the notoriety of people that made huge discoveries that impacted, history, and they don't want anyone proving that wrong or going against it, which is insane, because that's what science is. Science is learning new stuff and, figuring things out and proving itself wrong to get like the, actual outcome that we can use. It sucks. It's so stupid. That alien definitely had titties, which was kind of got me going. I'm not gonna lie, but
Forklift o camión.
oh yeah, there they are, little cute little guys.
You have mentioned that there's interdimensional potential. Could you expound on that?
And then in terms of multidimensionality, that kind of thing, the framework that I'm familiar with, for example, is something called the holographic principle. It derives itself from general relativity and quantum mechanics, and that is, if you want to imagine a 3D object such as yourself casting a shadow onto a 2D surface, that's the holographic principle. So you can be projected, quasi-projected from higher dimensional space to lower dimensional. It's a scientific trope that you can actually cross, literally.
Why is it that you refer to the phenomenon as non-human intelligence? Why deviate from the basis of extraterrestrial life?
I think the phenomenon is very complex, and I like to leave an open mind analytically to specific origin.
When you say specific origin, can you elaborate on that for those that might not?
If it's a traditional extraterrestrial origin or something else that we don't quite understand from either a biological or astrophysics perspective, I just like to keep an open mind on what it could be, All
right, let me ask you this. Do you think they are extraterrestrials from a different planet? Do you think that they come from inside the Earth? Do you think they are time travelers from the future? Do you think they're interdimensional beings? Do you think they are demons? Do you think it's Project Bluebeam? What do you think these UFOs and these creatures are? Like, just tell me in the comments below, because there are so many different potential answers to that. So many different theories, so many different conspiracies surrounding just aliens in general. I have no idea. I'd like to think that they come from outer space, from other planets. That's obviously been the one that's been probably poked at the most throughout my lifetime. Aliens from outer space, It's the one you see in movies a lot and whatnot. So if they were trying to kind of soften us up to it, through media and stuff, that would make the most sense to me. But I don't know. I'm kind of on board with obviously Project Bluebeam and everything just being fake holograms and whatnot, but also with them being time travelers or just races that have been here on Earth way longer than us that, went underground to hide from, natural catastrophes and world-ending disasters and whatnot. But I don't know. I want to hear what you have to say and what you think, because it could be anything. Literally anything.
Still don't think they lied to us? What the hell is that? Watch this light behind it. This is a live feed that they said they took down for technical difficulties right after this happened. Still don't believe?
I mean, I saw the beam of light come up, but lying to us about what? I need context, man. I need context on that video. What you think they're lying to us about? Because I'm inclined to believe you. Because I think it's all obviously we're being lied to on every front possible, I'm sure. But I need to know what you're talking about, man. You can't just leave me hanging like that.
118 rooms, half of them bedrooms, 33 bathrooms, a theater, and just in case, 3 bomb shelters. During the 70s, the federal government held it as a presidential retreat, but gave it back because it couldn't afford the $1 million a year upkeep. Well, the house is Mar-a-Lago. Now, if the government couldn't afford it, you might wonder who could. Meet Donald Trump, real estate man and multi-millionaire.
Yeah, let's look. This is the great entrance hall to Mar-a-Lago. The tiles are from 1400, and they're ancient Spanish tiles, and throughout the house they have 36,000 of these tiles. They're each in themselves a work of art, and it's a very special entryway, as you can see.
So you walk in here and people start gasping just about at this point, right?
Well, they are very... they're amazed at what they see, as I was when I first walked in, and as you were.
When you first walked through that door, the first time you walked into this house, what did you think?
I couldn't really believe it. This was one of the great treasures of the world. It's considered the #1 home far and away in America.
And when you see it, you believe it. Crystal chandeliers light the 60-foot-long living room. 7 antique silk tapestries adorn the walls. And the huge stone Italian Gothic fireplace still works. Now, I know you've already eaten in this room. You've actually had a dinner party. When you sit in here with people all around this table and you eat off of this gold and these are lit, you sit in this room, what do you think?
3 bomb shelters? Jesus, man. He was ready for it back then, dude. He was ready for whatever. He knew everything was going to hell in a handbasket back then. He was ready. Sheesh. just like constantly talking and, you know, just like draining you, right? Think of that on like a bigger level. What if all this stuff we're seeing in space, what if we're a multi-planet species? We've been around for billions of years. Everything's so much older. We have different technologies that maybe, you know, the pyramids were made by humans forever ago, and that's why we're covering it up in a different way. Obviously, mainstream archaeology will tell you humans built it for tombs or whatever, but, you know, with different technology that was necessary. You know, maybe we're just like, there's a slave planet, and we don't know it. And all the stuff we're seeing in deep space, you know, sun harvesting and whatnot, is actually just us. Sorry, I've been obsessed with this book series called Red Rising, and I don't want to give it away, but that's kind of loosely what some of that book is about, slave races and stuff. So check it out. It's an amazing book.
So there's a shocking paper that was just found that a United States Air Force captain wrote in 2015 about the upcoming solar pole flip, right? So we talk a lot about the Earth's pole flip, right? I've done several videos on that. That is something that happens, and it will happen again. But what a lot of people don't realize is the sun goes through these 11-year cycles, right? The solar minimum to the solar maximum. At the end of the 11-year cycle, the sun itself actually flips. It flips on its axis, right? 180 degrees. It's wild. When it does this, it gets into, right before it flips, it gets into what's called solar maximum, and it's very charged. It's everything is amplified, right? It's a lot more powerful and intense, a lot more intense storms, and the CMEs that it puts off are way stronger. And in this paper that this Air Force captain wrote, he says that we should prepare for these super strong CMEs to hit Earth. And why this is significant is because he also says, this is the Air Force's words, that our magnetic field that protects us, our force field, our bubble, is 40% weaker. Over the last 400 years, it has weakened by 40%. That's almost half, okay? This is just their estimates. It might even be worse. So our force field has shrunk and is way weaker than it was before. We're coming up on a solar maximum. We're coming up on a polar flip on the sun that they're expecting to be one of the worst in recorded history, right? One of the most powerful, I would say. And they're expecting CMEs to be firing off way more rapidly and for one of them to potentially hit Earth, okay? So our force field is weaker, stronger storms are gonna hit us, and the craziest part is we are more connected now than ever before to the internet of everything. I mean, think about everything that runs our life, you know, our whole grid, our water supply system, our supply chains, you know, our banking, everything is run off of electricity and run off of the, you know, ability to connect to the internet and communicate that way. So if a CME was to hit Earth, right now it would do more damage than ever in the history of mankind, okay? Like to us as a civilization, right? So what else do we see right now? We see lots of very rich people and powerful people and authorities building bunkers, getting underground, stocking up on everything, right? This is not a doom and gloom thing, but with this paper coming out that a United States Air Force captain wrote, an official paper basically warning, saying there is a solar pole flip coming that is going to, our Earth is going to be super vulnerable and it could do like very significant damage. It makes you think, is this why all of these people are building bunkers? Is this why all these people are kind of scrambling and doing these sort of peculiar things? Because they had this, he wrote this paper 9 years ago, but we're just getting wind of this right now. We're getting into the solar maximum right now. It basically peaks at the end of this year going into early next year, but leading up to it, like we're already in the solar maximum ramp up right now. So is this what is driving all of this kind of bizarre behavior from these people? I don't know, but it's definitely interesting, definitely something to pay attention to. And I think you should also take their lead, stock up, and be as prepared as possible, because the sun is powerful and we are vulnerable. So anyways, let me know, what do you guys think about all this? Have a beautiful day. Peace.
I mean, yeah, I totally see that being a very probable thing. And I don't think that it even so much has to go to like the solar flare harming the Earth or melting the ice caps to start some huge catastrophic event. I was talking to some friends about this during the eclipse recently. I'm like, dude, if the internet goes out and like electricity goes out, I mean, it'd only be like 3 days before everybody started getting desperate. You figure there would be like a little bit of panic the first couple of days, but you figure like 72 hours later, a week later, 2 weeks without internet, plumbing, electricity, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, it would be the humans that would be ripping each other apart. Everyone would be panicked. So the safest place would be in a bunker, you know, away from humans. I mean, if it comes down to it, we're going to be the ones that destroy ourselves. Simple as that. Or just think of the great toilet paper rush of 2020, right? I mean, people were freaking out just because they were just thinking like, wow, if I'm not going to be able to wipe my ass properly, you know, I got to stock up on this. Now just think how crazy it would be if people were like, wow, I'm not going to be able to drink water. I'm not going to be able to eat food. I'm not going to be able to feed my kids. And then the fear of other people, like what are other people going to do when they have that realization? You know, I have to get, prepare. I have to be militant. I have to do this and that and protect my people, and be nuts, man. So, I mean, I've always said the worst thing another country can do to us here in the U.S. if they want to rip us apart is not to nuke us, but to like EMP us or something. Just knock out our internet and our electricity and let us tear ourselves apart. That's probably the worst thing they could do to us. I mean, aside from letting like a zombie, a freaking zombie virus out or something like that. But I don't know, nonetheless. Hope we don't rip each other apart. Hope everything's okay. But you never really know. So hang in there, I guess. Be safe. Be prepared. Take care of each other. All that stuff. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching Lucid Crew. I know that I was gone forever. I am so sorry. I had a job that consumed my life, a job that I'm no longer working because it consumed my life. So I am here. I am back, and this is my main focus. This is it. We're gonna do this YouTube thing. We're gonna blow it up. We're gonna be huge. It's gonna be amazing because of your guys' support and all the stuff you send me and the conversation we have and just how awesome you've been and how supportive you've been. So sorry I've been gone for a little while, but thanks for sticking around, everybody. Share, like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you can to help out the video if you liked it. And if not, thanks for watching. Maybe next time you'll enjoy it. And everybody else, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.